Welcome back to Half A Hot Rods. If you haven't been here before, my name's Adam. I'm just a regular guy. I don't have any particular amount of time, money, talent, or all the right tools to work on these old cars and trucks, but I'm here to prove you don't need all those things. You can still have a good time with them. This week we're back to work on the 57 Chevy on a 97 chassis, and we're going to dig into something that I've really been trying not to have to do pretty much since I started the truck. Here we go. Well, I've avoided this for a long time because I didn't want to do wiring on this truck. I tried to retain the factory 97 wiring, and I did, and it runs and drives, and it'll go down the road. But now that I've started doing lighting on it, we've got some obvious ground issues. We got some other problems, so we're going to tackle this mess. And that's my new wiring harness for the truck. But the fun part is nobody makes a standalone harness for a 97 454, and no matter how much I Googled and checked YouTube, I couldn't find one. I mean, no matter how much I Googled and YouTubed, I couldn't find instructions on how to build one. So we're gonna pull this apart, use a couple of bits of information that I found in Haynes manuals. LT1.com has information on doing it for a small block, so we're going to hope they're the same, because if I know GM, they probably are, or very similar. And we're going to use factory stuff to build a standalone engine wiring harness, and then we're going to tie it into a universal hot rod harness off Amazon. Here we go. I think the first thing we're going to do is try and get the fuse block and the EC uterus off of the fender well where I made these fine mounts. And yeah, that should give us more access to wiring. We'll go from there. Now you can see we got access to where everything comes through back there. I'll be back. Alright, we're back for day 2 on the wiring swap on the 5797 truck. And by day 2, I really only put in a couple hours yesterday. I got all my wires exposed on the fuse box, on the back side. Most of the wiring harness is unwrapped down to the PCM. I need to finish peeling that so we can expose that. There's 5 connectors on this guy. 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this 20-year-old Haynes manual, which has wiring diagrams in it. I've got pinouts for the computer from lt1swap.com that I printed out. The fun part is those are for a 5.7, a 350. We have a 454.
Oh wow, that's big. That is big.
Hopefully, and GM usually does this, hopefully everything's kind of the same color, and I can tell by reading the descriptions, because it tells you what they're for. You know, cam position, ignition feed, injector, heated O2s, cam position low, torque converter clutch. We don't have that because we have a man pedal and a wiggle stick. Hopefully we can go through and use our common sense and see what we do need and what we don't need to make this engine run. Because that's all we're trying to do here, is make the engine start and run with those wires, and then we'll figure out how to use this instruction kit that came with the Universal Amazon set to use the wires that came from it originally to run a carbureted engine that would power up coil, distributor, that kind of stuff, and connect them to the right places on my fuel injected wiring diagram to power up those things when they need power. So, yeah, I'm going to get to pulling that wire harness apart further and starting to separate things out and figure it out, and then I'll be right back. Okay, we started this morning about 8 o'clock. It's now about 2:30, and I did take about a half-hour break for lunch and to gather more information, Google more stuff. I've used these pinouts. I've trimmed out some wires I don't think I need. This looks like a mess, but it's not as big of a mess as you might think. So I think I'm about ready to hook up the battery and confirm whether I have voltage where I think I have voltage, and then we might even be able to try and crank this thing by tying a couple things together. So I've eliminated a lot of emission stuff, ABS, all that. I've got to see where there is voltage and where there's not. These are marked ignition 1, ignition 2, and battery as they were marked in the original fuse box. This is lighting coming out of the fuse box, and then just other stuff like tack signal. This ignition feed, I don't really know what that does. Go figure it out. This is a hot wire for the ABS, which we can repurpose to something else. This should be the crank wire. When we put 12 volts to it, it should make the engine crank. But I want to kind of check some of this other stuff and make sure I don't have any surprise voltages before I start tying stuff together. So, I think what I'm going to do, hopefully, I think these are grounds. Hopefully we've got enough grounds without them. I want to see if we get voltage where I think we should have it, and then take her out of gear. And then I guess we'll see what happens with it. I think should have, yeah, we got voltage there. Okay, this means I should have voltage there, and there, and there, and probably on, yep, that one, and then probably this one. Yeah, now I'm not sure. Those all have voltage coming out. This does not, right? Is this one? It does. Okay. Now if I So in theory, if I put voltage to this purple wire, the engine should crank, but I don't think I have voltage to my ignition and stuff under the hood.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Yeah. Probably just popped that fuse too. Probably didn't like that very much. And let's see. Yeah. Okay, I got to do a little more figure in here. So these are hot. Going to the ignition, and then they come back out and go to, no, because that was hot too, right? Yep. Okay, I have more figuring to do here. Yeah, I'm confused. I'll be back. Okay, so for the most part, a pink wire is going to be ignition on, where you need ignition on voltage, and an orange wire is going to be constant voltage. These are marked from where I took them out. This one's number G10, it's fuse output, and then this one's number H7, ignition output. So basically, this orange wire, or these big red wires, will run into the cab to an ignition switch, and then an ignition switch will make the connection across here. Okay? So we're going to simulate that with an alligator clip. If I can do it without connecting the other end to something. Okay. And then we're going to touch the starter wire to one of these hot ones, and it should start. And it should sit there and run until we take this alligator clip off. Yeah! I couldn't find anybody who had done it. There it is, more or less, the standalone harness for the big block. So, now we just got to come back next week and figure out how to tie this stuff into the universal Amazon harness, and it'll run, and it'll work, and everything's going to be great. Awesome. That makes me so happy. Well, did it work? Did I get it all connected up? I can't show you everything because we haven't done the rest of the harness video, but that's going to make for a much longer video. But I can tell you this, that if we hit the key in here, it does big block Chevy things. Starts right up. Doesn't sound great because it doesn't have any exhaust on it, just cats cut off the back. We'll remedy that soon. But it does start and run and drive, and everything works the way it's supposed to. The only thing I've run into is that every now and then when I push in the clutch to stop, it wants to die. So if you know what that would be, feel free to comment and let me know where to look. I haven't even dug into it yet. So really, to do the standalone part of this, I had very little money in it, just some connectors and that kind of stuff. I could have reused everything I had as far as the other part of the harness. It would have been very messy though, so we didn't do that. But I'd had almost no money in this to make it standalone and work the way it's supposed to. If you have any questions on how we did it, hit me up. I'll try to do my best to straighten it out. It was a lot of figure it out as I go, using those schematics and pinouts and all that stuff. And it's pretty straightforward. And as always, I appreciate you watching, but most importantly, I want you to remember, even on this one, if I can do it, you can do it. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.